Hi Jody and Jessa, it's Michaela again, but this time I'll be talking to you all about organizational culture theory, which basically attempts to explain how and why cultures exist and how we can mitigate our differences within and outside of our culture for the best result and the most efficient result. This was first proposed in 1988 by Edgar Schein. He defines culture as a shared basic assumptions of beliefs and values developed by a given group. Um, and he tries to understand why and how these internal and external forces can affect the overall productivity of the group. He talks about three levels of culture, which is artifacts, which is basically objects. So think of hieroglyphics or peace signs. The next step is espouse beliefs and values, which are strategies, goals, and philosophies. I like to think of this one as your everyday mantra versus the third level of culture, which is underlying assumptions. These are the more unconscious, taken for granted beliefs and perceptions that we have, ones that we have and act upon, but may not necessarily go in depth about our beliefs. They just kind of are ones that we hold very dearly. Nextly, I'll be talking about usefulness. So the practical usage of organizational cultural theory is with a CEO, for instance, who's holding a meeting with all of various members from around the country and around different countries that may work for his particular plant. He may want to do some studying on their cultures from home and how they operate their plants back in their locations before he brings them all together to meet about a particular problem with the company, especially if their solvency is back in their own homes. In addition to just basic efficiency within the company, he doesn't want to offend anyone. He or she, I don't know, I do he, I guess a force of habit. The next usefulness I'd like to cover is that of interracial and intercultural relationships. I'm reminded of a book I read called The Thing Around Your Neck by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, which talks about the coupling of a Igbo woman from Africa with a white man who just didn't work, didn't get it because of their familial cultures and familial ties, those kind of level three culture. They just didn't mesh well, and then the end ultimately ended with a deterioration of their relationship. Real quickly, a cool example that I could think of is within the Big Bang Theory, because Sheldon is always dogging the other doctors who are his friends about how they can help him with the thing, how he's smarter than them. But in one episode, he is forced to reach out to them so that they can help edit all of he and Amy's research. Which, even though they have different cultural, academic backgrounds and their own beliefs about each other's respective different cultures, they had to, in the end, come together and work out Sheldon and Amy's paper. Lastly are the three studies. The first study is over the effects of organizational culture on organizational image and identity. And this study basically found that most pharmaceutical companies operate off of a hierarchical sense as opposed to an organizational sense, and that if they were to operate from an organizational culture as opposed to hierarchical culture, they would see an increase in brand image and employee identity and brand loyalty. The next study is effects of organizational culture on employee performance. And this was off of a power plant in Kenya. And they basically found that employees need to do a better job of pushing forward exactly what the employees may find more palatable and fun to do. And that's the best way to increase not only the morale of the team and workers, but also their performance levels. So basically, understanding the culture of the employees and what they like in the job, and then going forward with that would increase their performance requirements. Lastly is one that I found really interesting over women doing leadership styles, and organizational culture. Basically, they did a bunch of studies where they had women execs in the past, current women execs, and then women who should have gotten executive positions but were taken up by a man. And they basically say that it's a patriarchal society, and it's harder just because of what we consider to be better organizational skills for women to gain those executive positions. And I thought that one was really interesting and cool because we try and differentiate men and women in leadership roles when really it's the same. It's just the idea that gender has a heavier role than what we would like to admit. Thank you all very much, Jody and Jessa, and I hope you all enjoy. Bye bye.